for trying to get this done and finished. And what we're going to be doing to end this video is highlighting up all of these areas and then hopefully getting round to painting the flame effect down here. So what we're going to start off doing is with a fine detail brush and our Ungor flesh, which we used strangely enough for the flesh tone. A little bit of white into it just to change the tone, make it a little bit lighter, and we're going to, seeing as we can't actually, or seeing as there isn't any thing in the line of detail in this character, we're going to make some. And the way we do that is just by getting a light, very pale colour like this and going over all the areas. It's probably not the best way of doing it, but it's the one that I seem to find easy enough to do. Because what we're doing is we're not actually highlighting the face. What we're doing is we're putting pale colours on, and then when that dries we're going to highlight, we're going to wash it again with the same colour as we did previously, so the shadows come up a bit darker and they look that little bit more, or the bright parts look that little bit more brighter. It may work, it may not, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. We'll just have to wait and see. Now we're going back into our what was the metallic paint we used? Rune Lord Brass. And with this we're going to go on the high points of the brass areas with a fine detail brush. In fact, that's just too watery, it's not showing up at all. So I'm just going to, parts where I've done with the tissue, and we're going to go straight out of the pot for this. It's a very thin paint anyway, so it's not going to be too much of a problem doing it this way. I don't want it to be incredibly bright, you see. I don't want it to be really strong gold colour. There's areas that I should have done beforehand which I'd forgotten about. So I'm going to do them now just to show it's a different area. At least that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. So as I said, we're not doing all of the areas that we did previously, we're just picking out certain ones, and then I'll just pick those areas out. We'll come back later with a paler colour and add some extra little highlights. I'm not applying a great deal of paint here, we're just touching here and there and just picking out details. Alright. And that is that for this part of the highlight process. Next, what we're going to do is add a touch of black. Oops, a touch of black onto the palette. So we're using Abaddon Black. Haha. Just a little touch on the palette. And into that little touch on the palette we're going to add some white. Just to make it a grey colour. And this grey colour we're just going to touch here and there onto his hair, just to obviously give it a little bit of a highlight so it's not just a black mess. Now we come to the matter of the cape. And for this I'm going to mix in some different colours to make it that much lighter. Using a little bit of everything we've got. And we're just going over certain areas like so. We're not doing any great amount of painting, we're not doing a lot of coverage, it's just a case of hitting the raised areas, as it were. And that is really what we're doing for this. It's not a great amount of work. That's it. Now we're going to make a start. In fact, we're not going to make a start yet. What we're going to be doing first of all is on the water. We're going to be dry brushing, so it's getting some paint on our dry brush and scraping it off, dabbing it on our tissue, and then quite literally going in one direction, which in this case is down, oh dear Lord, I'm just going to put all my brush into the paint. Not what I wanted to do. I'm trying hard these days not to get paint in the ferrule of my brush. Just make sure that my brush is dry before I continue. And yeah, get the paint on, wipe it off. Oh yeah. And that is basically the water effect completed. Just a little touch along the bottom there and along the front. So I'm just going to get some. Yeah, I've already scraped off. Wipe it off and just and there we have it. Now it is time for, first of all, washing his face again. For the original one we used, when I can find it, Reichland Flesh Shade, so we're going to use that again. Remember that one? We don't have much in the line of area to cover, so we don't need a great deal on the brush, and again it's just a case of brush. And hopefully you can see though there's a little bit of detail showing now. And now comes the moment I've been ready. We want different coloured paints on the bowl. We want orange. We want Evil Sun Scallops. We want Wazdaka Red. We've got black. No, we want black. A little bit of black, not much. Can't use the one that's there because it's grey. And we also want, when I can see it, no that isn't it. Where have you gone now, Bert? We want to start off with Flash Pitch Yellow. That goes on our palette, like so. And then we want the orange, which in this case is Troll Slayer Orange. We want that going on our palette as well. And then we want the Evil Sun's Scarlet wing on our palette. And we have used a little bit of this, but if you remember, it was just for the armour. And we didn't put any. We use it straight from the pot. We didn't put any on the palette. And then the Wazdaka Red. I'm going to put this on the palette again. We have some already on there, but if you remember from the first video, I put it on. It just basically exploded all over the palettes because there was a puddle of water there which I hadn't noticed. And then finally, black. We're not going to be having, in fact, we're not going to be putting that on the palettes. That's going to be like a dry brushy thing. So first of all, we want a little bit of water, and then yellow. And we're going to be going all around here with the yellow. First of all, I want to be very quick doing this, no time to faff about. You want everywhere that's going to be yellow covered in yellow and more besides. Next we want to go into the orange. and working our way into the yellow from the orange and trying to get a nice transition effect. Brilliant. I hope you can see that. When we've got the effect that we want in certain parts, we can go back into the orange and add more deeper orange. To certain areas. And then once again we can go back, touch up there, and then we want to go into the scarlet. And the scarlet. Missed a lot of here with the yellow and the orange. We're going to try and muddle through as best as we can. Like so. And just make sure that we don't have a harsh line in between two areas. We want to try and be as graduated as we can. There we are. I was wondering what I've done with me little, what do you call it? Paper towel, and this colour is the Wazdaka red. It's the darker of the two reds I have. I'm going to be mixing it up a little with the scarlet, just to change it about a bit. There we are. And again with the scarlets, well, when it's in here and there. Now, a spot more orange in some places if we have enough, which it doesn't look as though we have. So let's mix some yellow with red to get an orange coming through. Yeah, let's just rattle off more yellow. And there we have a fairly good approximation of fire as I can get. Now where does the black come in? Well, that will come in towards the end. What I want to do first of all is using a lot of water. If I could use this. We're wanting a very, very pale colour. We're just going to brush orange over a lot of these areas, very pale orange that is, just to show that there is colour coming from down below, or light coming from down below from the fire. And there you have it. There's that actually. I'm just going to mix a little bit of the grey in with this red. And then add it to certain parts. I'm not going overboard with it, so I'll leave that for the moment to dry. While we're doing that, let us go back to our face. And for this we're going to be using again Ungor flesh. Straight out of the pot this time. And we're just going to be touching over here and there. Damn it. The here and there did not include into the eye socket. So what I'm now going to do is once again with the Reichland flesh shade I'm going to be a bit more fussy as to where I place it. I'm just going to go into the eye socket. Oh, it should be the eye socket. In fact, I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to use Agraf's Earthshade for this. It might be that much darker. It doesn't look much at the moment. Give it a chance to dry, see what happens. Next, hopefully that is now dried. It's new as damn it. We want a little bit, and I mean a little bit, of black on our dry brush. We do not want much on this. And now it's just a few points at the very edge. There we are. That's it. And that is our elemental. Now, so we'll just ignore the eyes for a second. I may have to come back a bit later just to touch those up. Speaking of touching up, with Iron Breaker, I'll use this one. I'll use a fine detailed brush we're just going to go over a few places of the armour. Now a little bit more highlight. Not everywhere, we're just trying to pick out some raised areas, not I'm going mad. Yeah, and that, as I said, is that. I will be basing this the same way as I did with the Bounty Hunter up to a point, but instead of using the dead grass, we'll be using the slightly darker of the two green grasses that we have. The forest grass, which I don't have to hand. I'm going to have to dig that out momentarily. So we'll see how that dries, and the next time you see it, it should be based, and you can see how it looks.